What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F123, my team career mode for Season 1, round number 6, the Canadian Grand Prix. I love Canada. This is one of my favourite tracks on the game, so I'm interested to see how this is going to go today. Now, first things first, I've turned red flags off. Now, we haven't had a red flag yet, but there's currently a glitch with the game where if a red flag happens, it doesn't matter where you finish at the end of the race, it pretty much just puts you in whatever position you were as the red flag came out. So it's a game-breaking glitch, really. So for the sake of just, making things a bit more realistic, we've turned off red flags and we will turn them on once the game is patched and that bug is fixed. We're gonna put a bunch of upgrades on the car. A lot of them aren't going to come through until Austria, and we also have, now that we've got to level 10, we can now assign a secondary sponsor, so or a secondary sponsor. So we go for Distort, which is complete a clean race, so that should be one we should be able to do. We are then going to redo the ECU upgrade for Powertrain because that one failed, and then we haven't actually had any upgrades come through this weekend. I think a couple that was supposed to come through didn't, pretty much, yeah, they failed, so we don't go anywhere. Mercedes and Ferrari both take a step up to closer to Red Bull. We are still right there on top of Aston Martin, and then it's still a big cluster behind us with McLaren, Haas, pretty much every other team. So as we go into Q1 here, the sun is shining, but that won't be the case for all of qualifying, and we will get to that. But at the moment, yeah, the sun's shining, we're here in Quali, and yeah, Canada, a track that I absolutely love. And I seem to be very quick through the first sector here. Sector 1 was absolutely blistering for me. The rest of the lap, the sectors on the lap, just generally, I was about where I'd expect to be pace-wise, but yeah, Sector 1 I was flying. Ended up going P8 because I didn't put in a better lap than my first attempt. Iwasa also gets through to Q2, so that's good. Big surprise, probably Oscar Piastri and Esteban Ocon not getting out of Q1, so that's not good. And then as you can see here, Q2, it is now wet. However, we are currently on the soft compound tyres because at the start of the session, the rain was just starting and there was potentially time to just get one lap in on the dry tyres. And as you can see, as I go through the hairpin, DRS is now disabled, so it pretty much right now is intermediate tyre conditions, but we're going to finish this lap on the softs because this could all be about timing. The people that have managed to get a lap on the soft tyres, although it's going to be not great at the end of the lap here, it's still drivable. So Hamilton crosses the line to go P1, we're going to cross the line to go P2, and in the end we're going to stay P2, and it's an interesting looking Q2 here because, or going into Q3, Iwasa makes it through to Q3 for the first time. That is awesome for him. The big ones though, Russell, Verstappen and Alonso do not make it through to Q3. Three big names not making it into the top 10. Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas goes P3 to get into Q3, so that's crazy. And then Q3, we're on full wet tyres. It is properly raining now, and yeah, we're just gonna see what we can do here. A thing that I've noticed on this game, in previous games, wet weather seems to always be a little bit more difficult for the player, I felt. In this game, we saw it in Monaco, it actually seems like the player seems better in the wet compared to in the dry if you're on like the same difficulty compared to the AI. So even though I've gone for a fully dry setup because, well, the rest of the weekend is going to be dry, it is only going to be this bit of qualifying that is wet, by the forecast at least. There's no point of doing a wet setup, so we're on a dry setup. I assume all the AI have done the same thing. We were P3 after our first lap, and we're going for our second lap here at the end of qualifying. There are cars out on track as well, so expect there to be improvements, but we are massively up on our time here, as on our first flying lap we did not get that hairpin very well at all. We went way too deep, so pick up a lot of time there, lose a bit of time down the straight because, we got a better run in that first session, but it's definitely still a better time here. We're half a second up on our other time as we come through the Wall of Champions chicane. No other drivers have come through saying that they've got a faster lap, and everybody's in the pits. They've all bailed into the pits, must have not been going any quicker, so we crossed the line. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. It's P2 on the grid for us. We are on the front row of the grid for the first time in F1 23 alongside Charles Leclerc. That was crazy. Everybody else for some reason came into the pits. Pretty much everybody was out on track, but they just decided, nah, we're not going any quicker. I was going quicker on my second lap. We go P2, we're in a Ferrari sandwich. This could be a very exciting Canadian Grand Prix.
Montreal is not only the second largest French-speaking city in the world, but it's home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. The name Villeneuve looms large over this one, but who can write their own legends today? With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Davies completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Norris, Bottas, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Iwasa, Russell, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Stroll, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Ocon, Albon, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Sargent, Oscar Piastri. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, the regulations aren't new anymore, but the teams and the drivers are still coming to terms with them. I firmly believe it's also track specific. We've seen some wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the year. Some tracks lend themselves better to it than others. I'd like to see it at every race in the whole season. Is that too much to ask?
Alright, so it's not a Ferrari sandwich for us because Carlos Sainz takes a penalty. So it's Leclerc in front of us, and it's, well, Hamilton to the left, Perez directly behind us as we go underway for the Canadian Grand Prix. Leclerc is starting on the hard compound tyres, we're on the mediums. He does still get a slightly, well, he gets about the same start as us, and I just decide not to absolutely plummet into turn 1 ahead of him because the likelihood of us actually beating Leclerc is not very high, so we're gonna just stick behind him for now. And as you can already see, he's already starting to make a bit of a gap up ahead as Perez looks to have gotten past Hamilton at the start. He's up to P3, but we're just going to continue on here. Perez is also on the medium tyre, so I definitely expect him to be getting past us fairly quickly as well in that rapid Red Bull as we go through this first little chicane here. Well, I guess it's the first, it's technically not really the first chicane, is it? This track has quite a lot of chicanes, but already we're starting to see quite the gap from Leclerc. Even though he's on the hard compound tyres, he just has the pace in that Ferrari. We're already seeing a gap of over a second already to the Ferrari, and Perez is right behind us, so this could be an interesting fight at the start of this race here as we head down the main straight into the Wall of Champions chicane. Get the braking correct, get this corner done right, and we do get through there very well, but already it's like a second and a half gap to Leclerc on this first lap. Perez right behind us there, but we're going to just hold station for now as Max Verstappen, after his poor qualifying of not getting through to Q3, finds himself behind Nico Hülkenberg, who's dropped a little bit back from the start. Of course, he did get through to Q3, but has fallen back with that Haas pace. But actually, Verstappen finds himself now under fire from his main championship rival at the moment of George Russell, and current championship leader. He's trying to go for a move on the Dutchman, defending world champion, but can't quite get the position done at this point in time. Lap number 2, DRS not enabled yet, but already we're losing a lot of time to Leclerc, and Perez is just absolutely flying past, and we're not going to put up a fight to Perez. He is quicker than us, he's on the same tyres as us, so we're just going to let him go. Maybe see if we can stick within the DRS, but I expect him to fly away ahead of us. Verstappen still trying to get past Hulkenberg here. Hulkenberg's a bit of a roadblock in this middle of the field right now at the at the edge of the points, really. I think it's like P10, P11, this battle. And once again, Verstappen finds himself back under fire from George Russell, as Russell's going to try and go around the outside of Verstappen. He's still there. Alongside is the Briton, currently leading the championship after 2 wins on the trot, last time out in Spain and before that in Monaco. We see a move up ahead for my teammate, which I think we'll look at in a second. Verstappen, though, manages to just about defend from Russell at the moment, and he's going to try and get a good run out of the chicane. He's got a really good run out of that chicane there. He's looking up the inside of Hulkenberg as he goes for a big dive into turn 1, and he's finally got the position on Hulkenberg, and Verstappen can now breathe a little bit and charge ahead. This is the move that we briefly saw happening in front of Verstappen, which is my teammate on Valtteri Bottas. So my teammate also, of course, got into Q3. He's on the soft compound tyres, so has a bit of pace on those tyres. Can't quite get Bottas into the chicane, but is then going to go for the move up the inside as they head into, I guess it's technically turn 2 this, isn't it? Because turn 1's a bit of a kink, and then turn 2. And he's got the position. Iwasa up another position there, so good stuff from him on the soft compound tyres. As now George Russell is going to try and get his move done on Nico Hulkenberg, and he is going to go round the outside of the hairpin, and he's going to make that stick, just showing how much quicker the Mercedes is than the Haas. Even on the hard compound tyres, he's got that position. As we continue on, lap number 4, finishing this lap on to lap number 5, and Hamilton on the hard compound tyres. Thought I could keep him back a little bit longer, but he is actually rather quick here, and he gets past us. We don't put up too much of a fight. This is a car, though, that I do expect to at least be able to stay behind and pick up the DRS, because I need that DRS to stay ahead of Norris, who's looking very quick behind us in the McLaren as we head through the hairpin on the next lap around, and Hamilton is ahead of us. We're going to pick up the DRS here, and we actually get a really good run. I don't really want to overtake him, though, because, like I said, I just kind of want to stick behind him and use DRS. I don't really expect to beat him anyway, so he ends up going very defensive into the wall of champions, and you know what, we get such a good run out of here that I think, you know what, we've just got to go for the move here. It's losing us too much time otherwise, so we're going to try and go round the outside into turn 2, turn 1, whatever you call it, but Hamilton's still there on the outside of us of the next corner, and he's going to get slightly better traction out of that corner and stays ahead. Once again, though, I'm not going to fight it too much because I didn't really want to be battling Hamilton anyway. It was just kind of, we found ourselves in a position where it was going to slow us down too much if we didn't try and overtake him, but it didn't work anyway in the end. We're just going to try and stay behind Verstappen here, though, because the pressure from Norris behind is quite immense. He's in the McLaren, which is a little bit further down the order than us. I mean, I think McLaren are now the 6th quickest team. They are kind of the first of that mid-pack, but yeah, or back of the pack. I don't know really how you would... Are we counted as the mid-pack? Are we in the fight with Red Bull and Ferrari? Well, we are in P4 at the moment, but yeah, Norris is showing good pace, but on lap number 5, I believe, or 9, our engine goes up in smoke out of absolutely nowhere. I've noticed it on this game, you don't seem to get a warning that you're going to have an engine failure in this game, and it's our 2nd engine failure of the season. 2 in 6 races. It's technically 2 in 5 races, as we had it in round 2 Australia, and that is us out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Terrible stuff. We were looking at a pretty good result here, but it's another mechanical failure for us. So yeah, short one today. That's the Canadian Grand Prix over.
That was to take the win for Ferrari today. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I really feel the track layout, combined with the track temperatures we saw today, suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So Charles Leclerc wins his 2nd race of the season. That means that in 6 races, we've only had 3 drivers win, but it's been 2-2-2 for Verstappen, Russell, and now Leclerc. So that is good. The fight at the front is looking rather promising compared to what it is in real life. Hamilton manages to steal P2 from Perez, so I guess starting on the hard tyres ended up being the best strategy, and Perez comes home in P3, so it's at least a podium for the Mexican and for Red Bull. But yeah, we're seeing a great battle between these, well, the 3 drivers and the 3 teams of Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes. As like I said, we ended up having a DNF. We were the only driver to DNF in this race. Iwasa comes home P14, so it's not as good of a result as I was hoping. I was thinking maybe he could grab some points here, but unfortunately it's not the case. And then in the Drivers' Championship, Russell still leads, but now it's from Leclerc in second and Verstappen in third. We're still down in 7th, just now 1 point ahead of Fernando Alonso, so it's very close at this top section here. And yeah, Iwasa is P16, the last of the 1 point finishers at the end there. And then in the constructors, it is very close between Red Bull and now Mercedes in second place. Ferrari are currently third in the Constructors' Championship, still the only team to not score any points being Haas. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.